And let me tell you this. I want you to let this sink in deep into your consciousness. I want you to take it home with you and think about it. And I want you to keep thinking about it. Every time somebody comes along and offers you a new cure, and I don't care what it is, keep this thought in your mind. Curing disease without removing its cause is exactly like trying to sober up a drunk man while he continues to drink. Now, I know that when the average doctor of the many schools comes into your home to see you when you're sick, he examines you, he looks at your tongue, he looks at your tonsils, he looks in your ear, he looks in your eye, he thumps your chest, he thumps your abdomen, he taps you on the knee, he does a few things like that, and when he gets through, he makes a diagnosis. But has he found the cause of your trouble? No. And when he hasn't found the cause, he can't remove it. And if he can't remove it, he can't do anything of value in restoring you to health. Some years ago, I was lecturing in New York City, and the medical profession there didn't like the things I was saying. I don't blame them. I don't like the things they're doing. Nonetheless, they engineered a little scheme there, and they got me sent to jail. I spent 30 days in Rikers Island prison. Now, can you imagine me practicing medicine standing here talking to you tonight? Is this practicing medicine?
No.
Well, that's what they accused me of, practicing medicine without a license, and that's what I was doing, lecturing. And they had two of their stool pigeons in my audience. One of them testified that I claimed that I had certain combinations of food that would cure certain diseases, and the other one backed her up in it. And I brought members of the audience into the courtroom to testify that I made no such statement. But it didn't matter. We were up before that great American institution, the jury. Only in this case it was composed not of 12 good men and true, but of 3 Tammany Hall judges. And they make up their mind what they're going to do before the case comes to trial and before they have ever heard any evidence. So I was sent to jail for 30 days. Well, while I was in jail, I thought I might as well make the best use of my time as possible. So I've got a copy of Dr. Alexis Carrel's famous book, Man the Unknown. And I read it. And it's one of the finest books that was ever written, because on every page it is a candid confession by one of the leading members of the medical profession that they don't know anything. But the part that struck me most about the book was the fact that Dr. Carrel would discuss the evils of a certain thing, and then he'd say, we don't know how to avoid these evils. We don't know how to remedy this condition. Perhaps if we get enough money to carry on research with, in 100 years we may have a serum that'll enable us to do this without suffering. For example, he pointed out that white flour is inferior to whole wheat flour. But he thought that in 100 years they might have a serum, providing they get enough money to carry on enough research with, they might have a serum that they could give you that would enable you to eat white flour without suffering the consequences of such deficient diet. Then he pointed out that foods grown on land fertilized with animal manure are very inferior foods and that are not healthful to eat. But he says we don't know what to do about it. Perhaps if we get enough money to carry on enough research, in 100 years we may have a serum that will enable us to eat that kind of food and not suffer. That was the idea. I read the book. When I finally closed it, I said, I'm afraid that if I went to Dr. Carrel with a tack in my heel and complained of the pain, he'd look at it and shake his head and say, I'm very sorry, but we don't know what to do for attacking the heel. Perhaps in 100 years from now, if we get enough money to carry on research with, we'll have a serum that will enable you to have attack in your heel without hurting you. In the meantime, I'll remove your foot. Now, what is so simple? If whole wheat flour is superior to white flour, what is so simple as to say the logical thing for you to do is to use the whole wheat flour? No, we don't know what to do. We need a serum, and we need money to carry on research so we can discover that serum. Never once in the whole book was it ever said that it is necessary to remove causes. And only a short time passed when another famous medical man of the country carried an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association in which he made this statement: removing cause is quackery. Insofar as I know, there has never been one medical man in the country that has ever written to the Journal of the American Medical Association protesting against that statement. Removing cause is quackery. I think that Dr. Carroll thought so too. He would much rather remove my foot than to remove the tack. Keep it in mind, as I asked you to a while ago, when somebody offers you a cure. That curing disease without removing cause is like trying to sober up a drunk man while he continues to drink. It's like trying to cure the tire following work or exercise without rest. It's like trying to restore potency to a sensualist without requiring him to give up his sensuous indulgences. It's like trying to cure the effects of gluttony with a serum or a drug while the patient is still making a hog out of himself. It is like trying to cure the effects of